Good afternoon, RPG Limit Break channel, and welcome to the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Adamant Cup bracket round of 32 match, game 2 between LUF and PlumeriaKnight. PlumeriaKnight up 1-0 so far in this matchup, but this is definitely either runner's race because that loss for LUF in the first game is only the second loss for LUF in the entire tournament. So we'll be looking to turn that around today as we continue on into the rest of this particular best of 3 match. Joining me today on the restream, behind the scenes on the actual restream itself, is Alchemy. On tracking is Black Ice. And joining me on commentary today is Judge Joe. How are you doing today, Judge Joe? What are we looking for with these bracket flags as opposed to, say, group flags that we just left?
I'm doing good, and some of the major changes we're going to see with the switch to bracket is in groups you saw a lot of Cecil, get a crystal sword, go hit things. Cecil is no longer in this seed at all. Along with Fu, he's taking a break as well. In addition to that, the treasure looting is going from T Wildish to T Pro. So we're going to be looking at a lot lower quality loot, working with less. The shops are going to be getting a lot less money giving a lot less money when we sell our gear. So resource management is going to be quite important, along with a lower starting gear and a big change with the back row glitch being off now. So you have to actually equip a bow or a boomerang while attacking to do back row damage.
Definitely, and one thing that sort of has stuck out to me with that change in the looting, like you mentioned, in terms of both less money like that, is it has led to sort of a resurgence of mages in terms of the change from groups to brackets. In groups, it was pretty much berserkers all the way with a few exceptions. But here in the bracket flags, that Rydia start that we're looking at today seems a lot better to have as a start than it would have been before.
Oh yeah. Rydia is always potentially a good start. Dancing Dagger can come with it. That's one of the easy ways to start a seed off. Can also potentially check the Mount Hobbs summon, could get Sylph and use that. Or if you end up with a gated shop like Hook Route or Moon, could get a Leviathan to get you going if you can loot enough.
Definitely, as we get underway, I believe that is no starting key item, but a cane alongside, which really, I think as far as the berserkers that you could start with the seed with, I would say is probably the least good thing to have right at the start, just because he really needs a lot of gear to get going, and he doesn't have the level advantage that like an Edge or a Sid might have.
Yeah. Kane and Yang are the two Zerkers that they can do work, but they're gonna need some levels or gear. Levels for Yang, gear for Kane, because his base stats are a little lower than any of the leveled ones. He needs those black belts, bandanas, and a good weapon to be able to start getting multipliers and begin doing good damage.
Definitely, and with LUF going ahead straight over to Troya, Plumeria straight behind, only finding a Blizzard Spear, which, while not the worst thing, because it's almost certainly an immediate upgrade for that Cane, is not really what we're looking for in terms of getting us underway, because we are going to actually start clearing checks with no key items and no clue on where to go next.
Yeah. Now, if we end up finding a ruby early or at any point before we potentially replace that cane, that Blizzard Spear is going to do an incredible amount of work.
Definitely. As we see LUF heading over to the public treasury here in Troya, Plumeria opting not to go. One thing that I did see picked up there that might be a good thing to note is that Dwarf Axe. You know, if you can't find a curse ring, something like that, you find a Sid later, you slap that Dwarf Axe on him, he can act as a pretty good anchor with just that. So that could be a pretty big pickup for later, as it looks like LUF is going to head over to Mount Hobbs to pick up a character, and Plumeria is going to head straight into checking these untrapped chests here in Eblin.
Ooh, And right away, I noticed Plumeria's found Sylph. So if you can get through one fight at any point, Riddy will be able to, due to the Sylph glitch, keep on using Sylph, which is a very good way of getting through some early fights as well.
Definitely, especially where we haven't really seen like a good white mage yet. Having access to any sort of healing, in this case, the sort of life steal that Sylph does, can help you through early checks like CPU or anyone that's going to be doing constant AoE damage across the party, so it's a real good pickup. Meanwhile, LUF finding that Sid over here on Mount Hobbs, and he also picked up a Sura over in that public treasury, which is another one worth noting.
Yeah. It's a full party heal 2/3 the time, full party resurrection the other third. Assuming, of course, that Rydia ever gets the MP to use it.
Definitely. It's going to depend on whether or not our runners want to keep that Rydia alive. Of course, Rydia known as one of the better anchors if you want to keep her at level 1 throughout the entire seed, but it looks like at very least LUF is going to try and keep Rydia up and get her some experience here.
Yeah, it's really early. We haven't found like Edge and a white mage or something, so we aren't sure what the plan is in the long term, so at this point you kind of almost need anyone you can get a hold of to help out.
Definitely. It does look like LUF is going to do the very deep loot, going the entire way through the backside of Mount Hobbs as well. We'll see if he gets rewarded for it here. Only picking up, well, a Silk Web is a pretty nice touch, because that's something you don't have to find in shops for that Z fight later.
Yeah, really useful for Z. Can also help out a lot if you end up with a tough Odin, is I think the big fight I've ended up using Silk Webs on.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of different options to make that work throughout. It's one of the better utility items that you can find in that overworld early on. So definitely really good pickup there. And we'll see where LUF goes next. I'm expecting, the straight into Antlion play right here. And we'll see what's down here at the bottom, hoping for that first actual key item of the seed.
And Plumeria is pretty much done with the Eblin looting. Likely to go check the go straight to Bedward and then Hobbs as well. Unless I missed Plumeria starting at Bedward.
He did go over to Bedward, but he left basically immediately. So while LUF was looting that public treasury, he'd started moving over and went straight down to Eblin to try and get the loot there instead. I would say that in this case, he probably did come out better for it. I believe he found a Gungnir in addition to that self-summon, so he's in real good shape now that he's actually rolling. We'll see how much time that ends up picking him back up as we find Dr. Lugay down here in the Antlion Cave.
Gungnir is a great early weapon, can also carry you all the way through Z. Before we see that Kane start doing big damage, however, with the Gungnir, he's gonna need to either get a decent amount of levels or pick up some of that strength boosting gear to give the multipliers needed to leverage the higher power of a Gungnir.
Definitely, Berserker's good with gear. We kind of say a lot that you just need gear, but you do still need those levels to pick them up. And we only get the pass out of this Antlion Cave. A good thing to have in your inventory, but not anything that's going to give you the immediate way forward here.
Yeah. And seeing the power of the hammers against Lugay, Sid comes in right before in vanilla you go underground, so he ends up helping you out for a little bit, and his weapons of choice, the hammers, end up doing bonus damage against giants, which, for whatever reason, Lugay's second form is a giant.
It isn't even that big, all things considered. It's just like a regular-sized robot. LUF gonna go ahead and check the summon, immediately decide it is not something that he needs, and go on ahead forward. Plumeria, meanwhile, going to get through this Mylon Z fight very, very quickly and easily and just clear that out and pick up his Sid.
Oh, and I guess correction, it's not giants, but machines that the hammers are effective against. That makes more sense.
As we're now reaching Fabul over on LUF's side, not going to be tempted to fade that here in any way, shape, or form. It looks like he's going to find cabins at very least, a nice early pickup, as well as mute bells could be useful later on if he wants to pick a few of those up. Say you run into like Baron guards or something like that, you can just go ahead and throw mute bells on them and they're perfectly fine. And I think our runners are in pretty good shape, all things considered. The start could have been a rough one if they hadn't found the right items.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see where the seed ends up taking us, if it's going to give us that hook that we're looking for the tail objectives, or if it's just going to give us the magma key and say, here you go, have a couple more things to do. Good luck.
See, I love when we have both of the trade-away tail objectives, because it creates this situation where, say, you get the hook and you get the pink tail, and you kind of have to judge like how quickly you can get through the next few checks without that adamant armor and decide whether or not it's worth holding out to try and hit a rat tail first. I love the little bit of decision making that you can get from that particular combination there.
Yeah. In most circumstances, I'll end up immediately checking that pink tail, but if I'm still sticking around with lower checks, feel powerful enough, might hold off. If I'm about to go and do Feymarch bosses, I'm gonna go and turn that tail in. And Evil Wall's just creeping in on the runners.
Yep. Always a strange sight when your castle seems to be under attack by another castle, but that seems to be where we're going for here, as LUF is through that fight very, very easily. Plumeria should be very close behind and has caught up quite a bit of time that he spent in that emblem looting just through sheer force of the power that he picked up there. And there's our rat tail already.
Yippee. Still not leading to anything, but it is a chance for, oh hey, hook route. And except not hook route.
Yeah, I think it's sort of interesting when you get these like narrow seeds like this too, where your progression now at this point can only come from ordeals, can only come from that Baron in check, meaning that, you know, we got a 50-50 chance of finding that underground access at either one of those, and the other one isn't really very likely to give you a way around that. So we're pretty close to where we could just be forced into a hook route right after the sort of 4 open immediate overworld checks.
And LUF tricking us by going right to ordeals and then going right on by towards Baron Inn. Oh, looks like LUF has found Sylph in a shop, so is selling some stuff. You have to sell a lot and is not getting the money to be able to get Sylph.
Well, we have an Edward behind this Odin here at Baron Inn, and that is a potentially interesting thing. Say we find a spoon early on, you might be tempted to take that Edward onwards. We have a Sid who can act as an anchor with that dwarf axe. What do you think of this Edward here at this particular point? What would you try and do with him personally?
Currently already have someone who could work as a fine anchor. If we get the spoon, he, as you said, is one of the higher damage Zerkers. Maybe a alt gauntlet. That Blizzard Spear, I think, will do very good work here. But we've already seen Odin and Evil Wall, 2 of the 3 bosses where Edward can really shine solo. So DKC is about the last one where if we don't find a spoon, I'd keep Edward around to help out with.
Definitely. LUF really showing off how much you can do with that Blizzard Spear here against the against this alt gauntlet, really just clearing them out just with Kain alone in some ways, although not quite doing enough damage to deal with it. I believe those Fang Shells are also resistant to ice damage, so this will be a little bit annoying to get through, but on the whole, I think this is good. The only thing that might give me pause is what if this doesn't end up being underground access and you sat through this for just the Edward?
I mean, you assume that your opponent will also have sat through it. It's in the second spot. It's not like you can just see the gauntlet and go, maybe I'm not going to touch that for a bit. So odds are, with it being an overworld check, both people are going to do it.
Definitely, it'll be interesting to see how long it takes PlumeriaKnight to get there. We did note that Plumeria did skip Antlion earlier, so that gap has widened a little bit more. But I would say that Plumeria is definitely continuing to make up a little bit of time. LUF, on the other hand, keep not making up quite as much time as you might expect from the power advantage that Plumeria had, because LUF is just executing these fights very, very well. The menuing and all that is just so very tightly executed here.
Now it's gonna be... Oh! Cap! Did someone say they wanted a little armor?
The real reward is not the key item check from this Baron, and the real reward is the combination of diet, food, and cap that you get from the third wave of the alt gauntlet at the second spot here, which really could come in handy later should we want to sell it for what? What does it sell for? Like, how much could a cap cost? Like 20 gold or something like that?
I bet the cap sells for like 10. Less than an arrow at this point is my guess. Cell Quarter does work in making it so stuff is not fun to sell.
Yeah, it's one of those interesting things where, like, these flags, as we're getting into the bracket stages, they're more difficult than the group stages, but they're more difficult in the group stages in ways that are not like, hey, we spiked the difficulty massively. You know, I think about the difference between these, and I think it's more along the lines of, you know, how good can you manage the sort of economy of the seed more so than can you be the best the best at executing a fight, as I do believe LUF is now on this final phase of this alt gauntlet here.
Yeah, it should be. I don't remember if this is the last or fourth fight, but should be getting through shortly, using Tier 2s to heal up the tanks that is Sid. If we ended up with mostly mages, this alt gauntlet could have been a lot scarier.
Oh, right, the Aqua Worm wave. Yep, this is the last one here. So while we're working our way through this alt gauntlet, now is a quick time to mention, please make sure you give both of our runners a follow. They are putting on amazing work in this tournament all through it, and I'm really excited to see, I mean, whoever comes out of this best of 3 got a good shot just like the rest of our runners, and I'm excited to see the rest of the tournament for them here.
Yeah. At the start, we, due to talking about the big changes, didn't have very much time to talk about what our objectives are for the seed, but we have some interesting ones. The ones that stand out for me is the fact that we have both tail objectives in addition to both Baron key objectives. It's always fun when you end up with kind of combo ones.
Definitely, as we do find the magma key here on LUF's side from this fight, so this alt gauntlet is almost certainly required, or at very least a very, very good idea to get through. Going to be very happy to see that. And sort of back on the objectives, I think what stands out to me about this set of objectives is if the key items start showing up at some point in this seed and start showing up at the right times, we could still be in for a relatively jetty seed as far as things are going. We really only need the Baron key the Darkness Crystal, the Pan, the Sand Ruby, the Hook, and the Pink Tail at this point. And a lot of those, there's only 2 of those that are terminal key items here. A lot of those can lead to the others, and so there is a chance, if things lay out just right, that the seed could get going very quickly now that we have access to this underground.
Yeah, especially with 2 of those being the Baron Key and the Pan being the most chaining key items, with both of them having multiple checks locked behind them.
Definitely. I mean, we just got access to at least 3 more, well, 4 more just from that Magma Key alone. The idea that we find a Baron Key and a Pan there, if any of those lead to Sand Ruby and Rat Tail, then that moon might only be required for getting that altar down, which would be a very interesting wrinkle in the strategy of our runners here.
Plumeria seems to be doing a good job breezing through the Alt Gauntlet, managing to get to the Aqua Worm final fight already. As LUF starts showing us what these gated item shops hold for us. What are the big things you tend to look for from these gated shops?
Well, in this case, over on LUF's side, I think we just found one of them. We found that Leviathan summon. I wouldn't necessarily buy it right now if you plan on clearing out a dwarf castle and you think you can get through it, just in case it happens to be in that sort of Rydia starter kit. But that Leviathan for 40k, if you can manage that amount of money, very exciting. If not, just those sort of tier 5 big ticket items, sirens, hourglasses, coffins, and the other one that I'm forgetting all of a sudden.
Bacchus, the ones that's the one fighters love.
Yeah, those are always, to me, the big standouts here, as we're not finding any of them in either of these shops so far, neither in Dwarf Castle nor Tomra, so maybe we do have the money for that Leviathan summon after all.
Checking the job dwarf area, always a chance at some decent loot, and nope. No job dwarf check.
Yeah, it's very important. As much as we enjoy the memes, you gotta save the frames where you can, especially in this tournament where, all of our runners are so close in skill level. Any second that you're spending can count in these flags, and I think that's sort of weighing heavily on our runners' minds here, as it looks like LUF is going to go ahead and keep doing the sort of standard underground sweep and head down the Fey March next.
Yeah. An interesting thing is we still have most of those free bosses available. Sid with a Dwarf Axe makes a decent anchor, so if we can find, say, hourglasses or coffins, there is a chance that if we run into guards or dimps, we can get through it as is right now, which could be a good source of XP to spike for the party, and also chances to get some more key items that we're lacking in.
Definitely, and LUF also very lucky to find that trap chest in the first chest that he looked in here in the Fey March doing this looting. Finds a Gungnir, so that Gungnir advantage for PlumeriaKnight no longer existing now at this point, as LUF has found his own. And not a lot of really exciting things down here in the Fey March. Really, the only other big thing worth noting is there is at least one coffin, so that is a good way of starting out there.
And Plumeria checks the job dwarf, who is a long-distance truck driver. Where is the job dwarf driving here?
I don't think there are places you can drive. Well, I mean, I guess maybe there's like a perilous mountain pass that leads to Sealed Cave. Someone's got to bring all those boxes to and from Sealed Cave. You've seen how many boxes are in there? There's a ton of them. And LUF, on the other hand, while he may not know about the long-distance truck driver, has found a very, very nice set of things on the Fey March here. Finding hourglasses in the shop, and also, importantly, finding a white spear in one of those chests. So that's another little bit of an upgrade for Kane.
Was the white spear from the Fey March freebie chest?
I don't remember if it was from the Feymarch freebie chest or one of the side ones. I think the side ones technically have a small chance of dropping a white spear, but it sort of popped up as a text box. There's a free boss down here. That's King and Queen Eblin.
Oop, the freest of bosses you can find here. As even though the Ashura spot has high magic, due to the script in King Queen Eblin, it doesn't actually do the damage you would expect from this spot with magic.
Definitely. It's always nice to see a free one down here too, because it's such a big experience bonus, and without sirens available yet, they might still be in that Eblin shop, might be on the moon. It's always nice to get that big chunk of experience where you can find it. It's not the most amazing XP, but it is at least something.
It's like 2/3 of an egg at a Shura spot, so always good. And looks like LUF is keeping the Edward as an anchor for now.
Yeah, I kind of think, if I were in LUF's shoes, I might be tempted to either keep Edward as an anchor or possibly even just get rid of that Edward. I think that Sid might be good enough of an anchor for most of the seed at least. So I'm kind of wondering, when we start getting into those other checks, if that's good. And there is a Baron key from this free fight down in the Feymarch, so both of our runners will certainly get that right away. That has led to 2 objectives available and 2 more checks.
I suspect we'll be seeing that one checked shortly. Maybe a stop at Hobbs to get a little more XP. Maybe sell a little more things to get Leviathan. But once LUF heads back up, that's likely to be a location that you end up going. And Plumeria checks the Sparkle, seeing its Plague, which is very good to see at a location as difficult as Leviathan spot.
It's a very doable fight. Plague is one of those bosses. It's sort of unique in that you kind of want to be slow as possible against Plague in some ways. So being able to have this very fast spot where he exists is a pretty good prize overall. And we're going to see that reflected count come out now, and I think this will be pretty free as long as LUF executes the rest of the fight properly.
Yeah, as long... I don't know if we have a form of slowing down the Plague, so we'll see if it ends up working out, or if that's the missing piece needed with reflecting count.
We do have the Silk Webs. We have 2 in this case on LUF's side. I believe there's another one there, so going to go ahead and burn one of those to try and get this out and not have to deal with that. It looks like Plumeria is going to do the same. Go ahead in here and take this Plague fight right away. This is a double, not entirely free, but if you're able to execute properly, basically free Feymarch, which is always a good thing to find on these flags.
And always good to see both runners managing to pull out these nicher strats to really try and pull ahead with anything they can do.
Definitely, it's one of those things where, the depth of strategy that's available in this randomizer can be almost overwhelming at times, and I'm always in awe of anyone who can execute these properly to get through. We do see that LUF is maybe not having the best time getting through this. Possum pointing out in chat that not sure it's going to work because the action timers are going to kind of resolve before the count timer does, which might kind of lead to a reverse, I believe, of that normal Plague situation where you're like stuck at 0. He might get stuck at 0 instead, is my understanding of that. Plumeria might be a bit better set up for this here.
Agility is one of those things that can be difficult to master, right? So it can be real tough to see whether something's working or just not quite there. Oh, and LUF gets it. Very well done.
Oh, that's a very spicy place to find Darkness Crystal. Double required, basically free Fey March. Plumeria taking a reset, unfortunately, but gonna set up again to take this again. That is now 3 objectives directly available to us, and what we were talking about earlier with the fact that these objectives could lead to a Jet Seed right away might be starting to come true here.
Yeah. Very well done on LUF, managing to one-shot the Fey March first trip this early into the seat.
Definitely a good show of skill on that Plague fight. Plumeria going to show the same skill here. Had a bit of unfortunate mishap in that first round, but I'm pretty sure he'll be just fine on the second go-round here. Maybe not having the best thing happen there with that Edward falling, sort of deciding what to do here, and it looks like going to throw the Star Veil and just go with where he is now. Nope, going to take the reset here.
The second Silk Web being what got LUF through, I noticed Plumeria only seems to have 1 in the inventory, which may be making this fight more difficult to get done, because without a white mage to add an extra form of slowing, you're gonna have to get the timing down pretty good to prevent multiple fasts getting reflected onto Plague.
Definitely. He could just decide to go the other route, decide he has enough life potions to just do the sort of, actually attack Plague down. It's a lot of HP to get through at this point. But it does look like he's just going to knock both Rydia and Edward down into critical HP here to sort of get them going, and then try and get the reflect off from here. Maybe just executed it slightly wrong on that last go round. Meanwhile, over on the other side, LUF going to raise the whale. I think he's going to be probably trying to figure out who that character is sooner rather than later.
In addition, there's another gated item shop, so we've only found hourglasses so far, and that leaves extra coffins, sirens, and Bacchus as items that you are still looking hard to find, dependent on what you want to do with the party.
Absolutely. There's still so much open to question at this point, because we just really haven't seen a lot of that shop power quite come into play yet. Is going to head straight to this Hummingway shop first and see what we have for sale. Going to be very important here. Having a bit of trouble catching them, and that is coffins, which is good, but I think of the 3 things we're still looking for, probably the least valuable of the 3.
Yes. We already have hourglasses, so any boss fight where the coffins would be able to come into play, you can still do you could still just use an hourglass, and while you don't have insta-death for them, you can just beat on the boss until it falls down dead. Whereas Sirens and Bacchus can change the dynamics dramatically.
Definitely. And speaking of things that might change the dynamics dramatically, who is here up on this lunar subterranean character check? That is very, very important, and it appears to be for LUF. Another Edward. Not a great prize here.
But it's another anchor.
It's an anchor that you probably want to send off to the tower and leave him in the tower and keep him at rank 1. I think LUF might have gotten experience on his Edward, so a refresh of the anchor won't be the worst thing here, but that is a pretty good thing here. And it looks like LUF is going to go ahead and head over to the hairdryer's chest now.
We have those hourglasses, so reduced chance of adamant. There still is a chance of adamant, and in addition, it's about 30,000 XP, so more XP to help that cane going, start getting Rydia closer to being able to do other things. At the moment, Rydia doesn't have too many things to do, but that could change.
Definitely. Meanwhile, Plumeria taking another shot here at this Plague fight, going to do a bit of a different strategy, is move Sid into that center position, going to reflect off of Kane now instead, and then perhaps look to chip Kane down. This is kind of dependent on getting Kane down very quickly, I feel, to avoid those fasts getting reflected back, but it looks like we're all set here.
Without getting any fast reflected, it's likely we just need to reflect that silk web and we should be good. Ooh, that Kane starting to get some large damage numbers on LUF's side.
Definitely good use of jump here, keeping that Kane in the back row to avoid, the risk of having him in the front row here. Obviously doesn't matter quite as much when these are stopped, but just going to go ahead and use jump in order to make sure he's still dealing full damage from that back row. Getting some life glitches off too on these hair dryers, which will increase the XP by a pretty significant amount.
Yeah, it looks like life potions are getting lower though, so LUF might want to find a shop to restock on those, because we are still lacking that all-important white mage that can make a lot of things easier.
Definitely. I'm tempted to say, with the life potion count down to just literally 1 at this point, this is probably just LUF taking the hair dryers and heading back down, not going to try and do anything. Might quickly peak cave value in the hopes it's another one of those free bosses, but probably not going to try and do too much in terms of fancy shenanigans here with this party.
And the charm staff from the hair dryers, not quite the value you're looking for. It does increase Rydia's spell power, but there's a lot more powerful items that could have been found, and Plumeria makes it through Plague, which is very nicely done as well.
Yeah, it was very well executed and a good demonstration of that sort of principle that I talk about a lot in terms of free enterprise. Of if you hit a wall that you're having a difficult time with, just think of a different way around it. And he tried different setups until he figured out the puzzle of getting through that fight that worked for him. Got through it easily, and he'll be very quickly on his way. The big question is, will he diverge from the path that LUF took? And will that compensate some of the time? That Barren Castle looking pretty tempting, where it is also a character check and also required.
Yeah. And currently, one interesting thing is 35 minutes into the seed, neither LUF nor Plumeria have gone to Mount Ordeals. So that's one of those early checks that a lot of runners will do, sometimes before Baron in, sometimes after. So it's going to be interesting if or when either runner decides to check Ordeals, and if that weighs in their minds throughout the seed.
Definitely, I think there's a certain temptation in these flags, specifically in the bracket side, to fade Mount Ordeals. You don't really have that Sid or that Cecil to bring online through Paladin. You're not really, there's no boss hunts in the objectives or anything like that. There's no demist hunt even. So it's kind of has made Ordeals really fall out of favor in comparison to some of our previous tournaments. So it's going to be really interesting to see, if we have some runners that prefer doing Mount Ordeals versus opponents that don't, which strategy pays off in the long run.
Yeah. So, preparing for the first boss of Baron on LUF's side, as Plumeria's about to leave the Fey March and buying a Sork robe to keep on equipping that Rydia. With the commitment of 30,000 more on that Rydia, I suspect Rydia's probably going to stay for longer term on Plumeria's for sure.
Definitely. We are seeing LUF here in this Mylon Z fight should be pretty quick, should be pretty easy. Plumeria now through that King and Queen Evelyn fight has that Baron key in hand, heading back above. We'll see what direction he's going. It looks like he's heading straight for Baron.
Did Plumeria set up Sheila 1 at some point yet, or have either runner check Sheila 1, or is that another freebie kind of waiting to be checked?
I know LUF set it up, has not gone to check it yet. Plumeria, I'm pretty sure, did not. And I think that might be down to the fact that, he took those wipes at Plague. They're a bit unfortunate. And when you take wipes like that, you tend to feel behind. He might be thinking, all right, I need to go just do objectives and try and cut side things out and hopes that these objectives lead to more progress through the seed, and that I might be taking a quicker path through doing that. So I think that might be playing through his mind there, but I don't believe he has set up Shield 1 at all.
So if the pan ends up being from Baron Castle, as we see LUF getting through the Baron Throne, about to get done with their first objective, that would be a little bit of a time save to help Plumeria get back, keep it a little closer. Is that our... And we have our first white mage.
Definitely, we see that Porum as LUF going to go ahead and say goodbye, Edward. Take that Porum along for the ride here. Very good character to find, just because having a source of Berserk where we have not seen those Bacchus wines or any other ways around it, even an edge to steal Bacchus wines from a Mad Ogre chest has not shown up yet. So that's a real good pickup, and that'll be a definite benefit for Plumeria too, that he'll have that white mage in hand. Might change things. There's the Sand Ruby. That is another objective out of this Baron Castle here. We are already at the point where we can have 5 out of 7 done already.
And if we end up seeing the hook soon with that rat tail, we could just see hook into rat tail, pan into pink tail for go mode. It's very interesting how so far we've only particularly seen required key items.
Yeah, and there's a lot of other little things about that too. We don't have a great setup for, say, like a D machine grind or something like that, unless we get Palom or not Palom, Rydia up to the point where we have that access to weak, which from what I remember, she gets quite late into her spell list. We don't have great access to any actual grind yet, no sirens or anything, so gotta be hoping, if that's the case, that we find sirens down in that Cave Evelyn.
That would be a big help. The big method of grinding I could see is the fact that we do have hourglasses, so you can go and take random encounters on the 4th floor of the LST, maybe on your way to the Ogopogo altar, and majority of those can be hourglassed. Yes, we don't have weak, but we still can get through those fights, and it is good XP.
Definitely. I did not see what that sprite was on the Baron Basement Throne that LUF reset out of it so quickly I didn't actually get a chance to notice what it was, and there might be some concern. Chat bringing up, I don't believe that LUF actually turned in the Sand Ruby while in Kaipo, which is a bit unfortunate because that is an objective, so we will have to go back to that at some point. Apparently it was Leviathan down there in the basement, which, no thanks. You do not want to deal with that right now.
It's only about 2,000 per ice 2. You'll be fine.
Exactly. It's only 2,000 per ice 2, yeah.
As long as you have enough life potions and cure and enough AoE healing, it's free.
It's time to go surf around the overworld until we find enough star veils to put a star veil on everyone and then get through that Leviathan thing, which is both half a joke and half something you could do if you were inclined to, that I don't think would be fast enough to be worth doing. But it is technically an option, so I'm going to bring it up.
It's definitely a unique way of getting through Leviathan. Stop hitting yourself. And Vow on Ordeals 1. A lot nicer there than Ordeals, Mount Unfree.
Well, I believe that, yeah. At very least, if ever runners had gone to Mount Ordeals first, they would have known that they don't need to do it right away, and known that their underground access is through Baron Inn, just through the fact that both Val and Wyvern, if I'm remembering correctly, are 2 out of the 3 bosses that can't gate your underground access without the Be Unsafe flag on. So that was an interesting situation there. And we'll see what he gets for it.
Hopefully we can get 3 for 3.
Mount Ordeals being Mount Bunsafe today is not what I was expecting. And that is a Lunar Staff. Luke's just going to reset. We're not even going to see what that 3rd boss is.
But... Aww. Plumeria found exits in Kaipo. So... Well, we have found Porum. If you end up running out of life potions on the LST and Porum's dead, it's a very good idea to have a couple exits in the back pocket so you don't have to walk out of the LST or warp out of the LST.
Definitely, and even, well, I guess we don't really have access to any of the other checks that you can actually use exit on. I guess the only one left at this point would be Twin Heart. So I was going to say, it's always a good thing to have access to an exit or two before Porum learns exit, but Porum will have exit before we get to any place we can exit from. Luf going here to Dwarf Castle and going to go ahead and go through this Dark Elf as the first boss.
And Plumeria is also about to get the news that it's a Leviathan. Let's see what Plumeria chooses to do.
Plumeria is going for it. This is going to be a difficult fight. If it is doable and this ends up being something that you can get through, nope. Reset time.
If we had enough Star Veils and Cure Potions, or if we simply had, say, Cure 3 from Porum with a good anchor, I'd go for it, but without that, it's gonna be very, very risky and slow.
Definitely. And one thing I want to note, Plumeria took a lot of those wipes at Plague, but has caught up a lot of that time here, partly through the fact that he has not done Mount Ordeals. If he does Mount Ordeals, he will end up losing that time back. But if he just goes straight through and doesn't continue fading Ordeals, he'll have made up quite a bit of that time he spent on that Plague fight just through that alone.
Yeah. And Luf showing the one thing the Dark Elf fears most, any sort of holy weapon, be it White Spear or the X-Cows and Crystal Swords, it does massive damage to Dark Elf, both forms. And Luf saying no thanks to Tella.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is Luf did not complete Mount Ordeals. He almost certainly does not want to go up a second time and deal with back attack Wyvern and front attack Val a second time. So that kind of means that when he decided to reset out of Mount Ordeals, he was saying, I don't have a Tele yet, and if I find one, I'm okay with trying to find a different way of getting experience in that D Machine grind. So is going to be sort of going through at this point without that tele now.
Out to go and see another key item check. We're starting to get lower on checks available. After this dwarf, all we have left will be that Leviathan and Keyless Tower before having to go and face the terrors that could lie on this moon.
Did LUF ever turn in Sheila 1?
No, I don't think we've seen Sheila 1 yet.
Well, there's a crystal ring. I like this seed. Shoutouts to our restreamer Alchemy for rolling a seed where only the key items that are required for objectives exist and nothing else exists at all in this seed. So we're looking at either a really gnarly chain later on down the line, or something's got to give at some point here.
Yeah. And LUF is heading to Typo to check Gear This Fever, or just checking the Mist Cave shops?
I'm wondering what LUF is looking for here. Might be looking for like a cursed ring, something like that. Might otherwise doing that, and it looks like he's going to take off again, not going to go back and cure that Sand Ruby or that Fever yet. That might come into play later, as it looks like he's going to go ahead and land over here at Troy and maybe just looking through shops now at this point.
Yeah, so we'll see what ends up by the fact that's the arm. Oh, there's a curse ring. That's expensive, but can be very helpful.
Yeah, I think that was what he was looking for. Going to go ahead and sell everything off at this point. Really try and get that cursed ring going. Maybe thinking, you know what? I need better anchoring to get through a possible moon dive, and that might be his next play here with that cursed ring in hand.
Yeah. We keeping the Gungnir, which we have the White Spear, and it's unlikely that you keep a second cane. So without edge, the Gungnir is a reasonable source of money when sold. It's like 11,000 or so. But
definitely might be sleeving it for
selling a lot of other things instead.
Yeah, definitely, and it looks like we're finally going to get this Sheila 1 that we set up what feels like half an hour ago at this point. And we'll see what that ends up giving to LUF here as he is ready to just go ahead and check that now.
Plumeria using the fact that when on back attack, normally the enemies have a speed advantage on you because that's kind of what back attacks do to the party. But with Wyvern, to prevent the game from essentially just saying, no, you can't get through this spot, try a different location, you end up getting a bonus turn almost against what back attack Wyvern instead. So Plumeria gets through without using a Star Veil.
Yeah, the question is he going to keep it? We only have to deal with this karate fight here, and it looks like Plumeria is going to go ahead and finish Mount Ordeals, meaning that he might be holding out hope for Atella, and his access to a possible D-Machine grind that LUF does not quite have access to yet could be the big difference here. LUF, however, going through that Sheila 1 check, only finding a Stardust Rod, which is a good thing to have for that Rydia, but not what you're hoping for, which again is just some key item somewhere.
Still fading Keyless Tower, so likely a decent amount of value at this point on the moon. There is still that low chance that everything's behind Keyless Tower and Leviathan spots.
it's kind of... It's one of those things where this is going to sound kind of weird, but I'm almost concerned that with that reset of Mount Ordeals and getting that Tello right after that Plumeria is going to end up with, that LUF might end up sort of being at a disadvantage due to trying to go almost a little bit too fast and thinking, all right, I'm okay with just not ever using a possible Tella in this seed. I'm okay not dealing with that at any point in time. And if Plumeria goes for that, that could be a big deal. Plumeria also going to go up and check this Keyless Tower, which if this pays off could be another way that LUF will have fallen behind just to not going places. Which, while a very good strategy, and I don't want to make this sound like I'm saying LUF is playing poorly by any sense of the means, because that's just not true, that could be a big problem for him in this specific seed.
Yeah. LUF has some hourglasses, but isn't taking any sort of encounters on the way, so it'll be interesting to see if the levels are high enough to really maybe to jumpstart, or if we need to go and find a freebie boss to jumpstart the party on before we can really start clearing. Because Forum does have enough XP for Berserk, I think. Level 20 is high enough level, so...
He could try and hunt down a trapped chest with those hourglasses and try and get through it that way. I think there's a few that are hourglasses don't work against, but if you find the right one, you could possibly spike an adamant armor. You could, you know, actually just get a lot of good stuff out of that in addition to the XP. That might end up being the play here, as it looks like LUF is setting up and might just be going for this boss check here. Looks like, nope, gonna head further down and do the required one first.
Yeah, the trap chest you'd be looking for if you went that route, there's a pair of Warlock and Carry, one with 3 and one that's 2 and 2 if I remember. There is a Warlock and D-Bone if I remember correctly the name, which I believe is also Hourglass, and then there's the pair of Red Giants that you could Hourglass as well. All 4 of those are potential mini grinds and checks. Also, Vanilla.
Yeah, the Vanilla Ogopogo, not what LUF was hoping to find here. That is kind of, in some ways, worst case scenario. Plumeria finding a slow demist fight, but should be able to get through easily. And LUF is going to go ahead and just reset, head over to the Ribbon Room, and there's a Water Hag, there's a free boss. There's
the XP spikes you're looking for. You need Blink before you even attempt that Ogopogo. You can get a couple blinks off. It's where having Tella as your anchor instead of Sid can be helpful, as Tella can cast those blinks, which is very important at low-level moon dives.
Definitely, and one thing I wanted to note too on LUF's side, doing a lot of inventory management during this boss, which is basically like a long cutscene anyways. One of those really neat little optimizations and ways to shave time off is just doing your inventory management while you're in a fight like that. So definitely worth shouting out. Getting a white spear and a crystal armor for it, still no key items from that spot either.
Oh, not even a Dragoon Lance for the potential bonus dragon damage for Arcane. And still no Cure 3, so we have Blink, but I would still be a little reluctant to face Ogopogo at the moment.
I'm having a hard time thinking of what LUF might find to really get him there, and another free boss is one of those. There are the Baron Guards here at the White Spear Altar. That's another big chunk of XP for free. Very easy boss to get through. These are what LUF needs in order to make this Moon Gamble pay off, and another great thing to see. The question is what gets him through that Ogopogo fight at this point? Is it just levels, or does he need a bit more beyond that? I think it's probably just levels at this point.
Yeah. It's gonna be slow, but as long as you can stabilize and keep casting Blink, keep having someone alive and zerked, you will get through Ogopogo eventually. Unfortunate that this spot has the Baron guards because its XP is a lot lower, so if it was reversed between the between Ribbon Room, you'd be able to life glitch them for some bonus XP, which would very much help.
Definitely. And one thing that's interesting to me is that our tracker, Black Ice, shout outs to him, even though he has not had many key items to track in this particular seed so far, point out is you can coffin these guards. So I'm interested in what he might be saving these coffins for. I did not quite catch what we got out of Keyless Tower just now, though. I think it was another Zonk, because that's just a good, solid guess with this seed.
Where are the key items? Where are they hiding?
Well, there's one of them. Oh, it was Vanilla Tower Key. And that is a hook on LUF's side. So that is another one of the required ones. He is now 2 key items away from go mode. Just needs that pan and needs that pink tail.
If we get even one of those from the Ogopogo, this could be spicy. Because there is still a lot of potential misleading chains in this seed. Still got that Earth Crystal, still got that Twin Harp, still have Luke Key. Those can really be a big drain on time.
Definitely. And one thing worth noting too is that hook being there does mean that you will not have that pink tail turned in before going to the moon. There's just no possible way. And so any chance that Plumeria might have had to like spike an adamant armor and make that Ogopogo fight a lot easier through that. I mean, Big Wave doesn't care about adamant armor, but everything else Ogopogo does. That's out the window now. It's just getting through this fight now at where we're at.
Yeah. And if there's going to be a Vanilla Moon boss, this is kind of one of the ones that you don't like at all. So getting the Porum blinked, we want that Ogopogo. Riddy is a good hit. Get the blink on Kane. Kane's wearing some defense. I don't know what it is, but only taking 500 in that front row.
I believe that's that crystal ring that he got from one of those checks in the underworld there.
Casting Berserk without... I don't know that we're going to get the heal spell needed off before the big waves come through. You need to get the Berserk early, or you need to heal up. It's gonna be tough to get. It's going to be tough to get through that with just what we have.
Definitely, and with the Twin Harp over on Plumeria's side from that tower, this is becoming a sort of tale of what is going to work out better. A low-level, difficult moon dive, big risk play on LUF's side, or the more safe, just clear what you've got on the overworld style that Plumeria is playing here. Both equally valid strategies. Whichever one will pay off on the end is going to be a very big question. We know this moon is required. We don't know that what Plumeria is doing is.
Technically free fight.
It's
slow, but free.
It's free with quotation marks. One of those ones that's going to be quite slow, but easily doable. But over on Plumeria's side, it is time for music, so we're going to go ahead and let you have that. It's nice, calming, chill, quiet Chocobo times over on Plumeria's side. And that is a legend sword. That chain is not required. That is a huge blow to Plumeria here.
No keyless tower required this time, which means there is now only 2 chaining possibilities left. Whatever's on the moon and the Leviathan spot, which we might be seeing Plumeria head there shortly. Might take a stop at Dwarf first.
I will say, if he takes a stop at Dwarf first, it might be the best thing for him, and I think that's probably going to be right what he's going for. When he sees that Tella, what does he do? Because while it's not great that he did not get anything out of it, sitting at 8 key items, I'm almost wondering if he's tempted to try and find a free boss on the moon, but if he just gives up and does his grind and just heads straight there afterwards, he's going to have a lot faster of fights than LUF is having. He might be able to take that spot outright down at the bottom of the moon, and that could be a big deal. So while that's a big blow to Plumeria, there's still every chance that he gets back into the game from taking this spot right now.
Yeah. Another possibility that Tella could do instead of the standard D machine is, with weak, you now have a pretty fast way of doing gold dragons. So we have hourglasses, and we would have hourglasses in weak. So if you wander around the LST, it is pretty common to it's not uncommon to find the double gold dragons on the 4th floor. So you could go to the moon, do one of those to give a little boost, and then start doing moon checks trying to get to 10 before maybe doing another set.
It's definitely a possibility. It does look like LUF's next move, on the other hand, is going to be to go ahead and head back down the subterranean, take another stab at that Ogopogo fight, that completely vanilla fight. The only downside to this is he may have gotten levels off of that Crystal Sword altar, but crucially did not get levels on that Porum, who's still sitting down there at 799 XP. This could still be quite rough. I'm not sure if what he got is enough to push him through it. We'll see.
Yeah, the big thing is if you can go and have aim work out better, if you can go and get a Berserk on Kane followed by the big requirements this fight is you need to get 3 spells off. You need to get Blink on Porum, Blink on Kane, and Berserk on Kane. So in the meantime, you're going to need to be using Cures 2s and 3s from Sid and Rydia to try and get some of that earlier healing done while Porum's busy doing getting those spells off. Once you get down to Kane and Porum, you'll hopefully be able to just balance between blinks and cures.
Looks like that's going to be the case. Getting the blinks on Porum, getting the blinks on Kane. You know, this is just the real downside of not finding either of those two sort of biggest ticket tier 5 items. We have not found the Bacchus wines. We've not found the Sirens. All we've found are coffins and hourglasses. And while those are great to have, they're not going to get you through this Ogopogo spot. And while it does look like LUF is starting to stabilize now, needs to get a cure off on that Porum first before the next wave, I think we're in good shape now.
And oh wait, no, Kane is tanky enough, so while not linked, will be able to take a physical hit.
Yeah, the biggest risk right now is you might even need to like try and keep Sid up for a while in order to make sure that if Porum falls over, that you have someone to get her back up and this attempt does not fail to the cures there if you can't get that blink up in time. Of course, you can just sit on that Porum's turn once we get this fully going here. But this moment right now where we're casting that cure 3 where that Porum does not have the blink on is the real danger to this fight.
Yeah, we're about to run into a single wave, so good targeting on that blink. We have plenty of time to... Ooh, there goes Porum. So now
the clock is ticking.
Do you remember how much HP this spot has?
Both more than you want it to and less than you think it does, so not entirely. But he's through it. Kane does manage to take that Ogopogo fight down, and LUF has gotten that third objective finished and is rewarded with a pink tail. That's a double required thing, 1 pan away from go mode.
If that rat tail has the pan, or if the Leviathan has the pan, do we have... Oh wait, we have cabins, so that's one way of resurrecting Porum. We also have exits, so I suspect we'll be seeing LUF heading back to Earth, grabbing the adamant, checking that rat tail, and we'll see where LUF goes from there.
Absolutely. This has been a great display of skill from both of our runners here. LUF really showing that he's got a lot of technical skill in getting through these difficult fights. Got through that brutal Ogopogo fight, got through that plague fight in one attempt earlier on as well, which did end up taking Plumeria a few tries to get through. And just really showing a good thing. But meanwhile, over on Plumeria's side, is in this Leviathan fight, kind of experiencing the same thing that LUF was just experiencing with that Ogopogo, Kane being the only one alive getting through it.
Nicely done. Another objective for Plumeria. And I'll take a power shirt. We are still looking for a way of beating Z at this point.
We are, and we're still looking for that pan, and I believe that means that the only 2 spots left that pan can be are that Mirasame altar and cave value that LUF just left up on the moon. So the question is... Well, rat tail, yes. This is a 1 in 3 chance here. If this is pan, LUF might have just won. If this is, well, 1 if he gets through the Z fight cleanly, of course, which is never a guarantee. If this is not the pan, then Plumeria has a pretty good chance of getting somewhere because he's more likely to get through that moon quickly and get through it. That is an adamant rock. That pan is back on the moon.
So LUF has left Keyless Tower to this point, so I believe he is still incentivized to do the moon checks before Keyless Tower, but I suspect first will be to stop at the Leviathan fight to keep on clearing out the objectives.
Definitely. I think the big question now is once Plumeria gets through this last freebie, sees that Sheila 1 is just a Stardust Rod, which is only kind of like a little bit of a bonus to that Rydia at this point in time. What does he do? Does he go straight to the moon? Does he do a D-Machine grind with that Tella and get all those levels ahead of time? LUF has not yet gotten those levels. Going to go back and turn in the Sand Ruby and be those 2 objectives away now.
I think what LUF ends up doing for Z is going to be dependent on what we find at this behind the hook shops, if LUF chooses to check them. Sirens there allow you to just eat eggs until you are ready. Otherwise, it's going to be interesting what LUF chooses to do to get levels.
Definitely. This is not a seed that has wanted you to beat it easily. This is a very sort of twisting, turning, and difficult seed in every respect. Really throwing out little ways of showing skill at every opportunity, and both of our runners have really lived up to the challenge. Want to make sure to give them another quick shout out. Make sure you give both of them a follow, and make sure that you also tune in to whoever ends up getting out of this later in the tournament, because I don't know, this is quite the show of impressive play today, to me at least.
Plumeria's buying ethers. I think we might be heading towards the D machine.
I think so. I've been told so many times that D Machine would be back in the bracket stage, and I haven't had a chance to see it yet because unfortunately I haven't really had much of a chance to watch any of the other bracket races in the evenings over the past couple of days. But yeah, I'm excited to see D Machine. I haven't seen it in so long, I've almost forgotten what it looks like.
I probably should brush up on how to do that D Machine again. Maybe watching Plumeria will help out with that.
Absolutely. He might be looking for that curse string that LUF was looking for earlier at this point, just to make sure that Tella's, properly anchoring for that D Machine fight here. Doesn't know that it is sitting up in Troya. I'm interested in seeing how much time he commits to the shopping here, or if he's just going to go for it.
And Viridia, Leviathan showing why those Ice 2s are not things you like to see going your way at the Odin spot.
Absolutely. Hitting both the Rydia and then the Porum right away, that is not a good sign. Needs to use Sid to either, throw cure potions to get through at this point, or to revive that Porum. Needs to wait. Going to go ahead and throw out another attack. Real aggressive move there, not sitting on that Sid's turn, thinking, you know what, I need to get more damage out, make this fight end quicker. And we'll see. No, just going for the damage, and he's got it.
Nicely done on Reluf's part. About to get that power shirt. That's going to be another... So, well, wait. We already have Adamant Armor on Kayn, so... Oh, Adamant Armor on Kayn meant that fight was pretty free.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about that Adamant Armor.
So did I.
Sitting here in this restream with the word adamant directly in front of me this entire time and just not registering. I think it's because of that adamant rock that came from Rat Tail at the same time, making me think, oh, it was just adamant.
Alrighty. Are we going to see LUF go to the moon, or is LUF about to go and do the tower to Twin Harp chain? Which...
Looks like
would give Forge access.
I'm trying to think of what you would want out of Forge for this party. Maybe like Artemis Arrows for Sid, I think, are tier 7 and thus count. There's Bacchus and Sirens.
Oh, there's where the goods are. Wait, I guess Kayn was not wearing the adamant.
Definitely. Answer a question from chat, why LUF is sticking to a bow and arrow on Sid over hammer and axe. If you get the right bow and arrow set up on Sid, it is stronger than hammers or axes. I don't think we have like the completely optimal setup, but Archer Sid is the best Sid if you got the right setup for him.
Only 2 Sirens, so we're not doing a super heavy grind. Oh, giving Porum the adamant armor and Kayn the power shirt. keep your healer alive, while keeping the damage on Kane.
You want to see a really, really fast Porum that's got the extra 15 agility from Adamant Armor and the extra, I believe it's 5 agility from a Crystal Ring at this point in time. Because that's what we got here. We've got full speed ahead Porum here, ready to go. And it looks like he's not going to check the package character, and he's going to be heading into a grind now.
Yeah. Bought 2 Sirens, so with only 2 Sirens, I think we're going to be seeing gold dragons instead of eggs, but maybe we just need only a minor grind. Depends on what LUF is feeling like.
Definitely. I don't think he needs that many levels. Looks like he's going to go back up and head to those dragons. Meanwhile, Plumeria has that encounters on now and is setting up that RNG manipulation to get into that D-Machine fight, which should be pretty quick for him here. I think he needs like 1 or 2 more encounters before he's got it. I think he's on a good seed for it.
Yeah, and one thing to note, but by heading to the moon for the grind, that means LUF is more likely to be doing these moon altars that we now know are required.
Definitely. LUF only has that Mirasame altar left on his side, and then does have that Cave Bahamut, but could just be deciding, you know what, I need to go through this Mira altar. And then if I'm going to do that grind, I'll have possibly 10 key items, and I can just hit the gold dragons down at the bottom of Cave Bahamut. So I think that's going to be his plan here, at which point he would just exit out, fly back down to Earth, head over to the pass, and head straight in.
Another possibility, if your party's doing well and you get that 10th key item here, you just do it at the altar, because I believe this floor is still LST3, so you can do gold dragons right here. So if we see the pan, that's like, ooh, natural habitat of the antlion.
Our good friend Moon Lion is back here once more. This is a fight that LUF probably won't have too much of a problem with at this point. It can be a very annoying fight, but thankfully our main damage dealer is Kane, who does not need to trigger the counterattacks. So while this might be a bit slower than berserking up, and Kane does fall, that is still a very doable fight.
We might be seeing switching to Cave Bahamut, it looks like, but one other thing you could do is if you equip the Adamant on Kane and have him in the back row, it is extremely unlikely that he'll ever take damage. He may be the only one to get the XP, and it may be slow, but he will get through.
It's real difficult to say which one of these is going to pan out better for him here. No pun intended, even though we are looking for the pan. If there's every possibility that there's a free boss down here too. It's a big question of what ends up being the boss right here, right now.
Only free boss that I really can recall being left outside of, well, no, DKC's not free, would have been the Dark Imps. Because we've seen both sets of guards. We've seen Calbraina Dolls, Water Hag, King Queen Eblin. We've seen CPU. Oh. Do we still have that Gungnir Spear?
We do, and LUF has thrown it on. Going to go ahead and throw a Bacchus now. This is not a free fight, but this is like as close as you get with a Porum who has an Adamant Armor on. Who's just going to be able to cast Blink over and over again. All Octomam does is punch. Octomam's going to get slower and slower as the fight goes on. This is a pretty good fight to have here.
And Plumeria still doing that D machine. It looked for a second like Tella wanted to also be in the back row there. Trying to push Rydia and Porum aside. Using the Sylph to kill the D machines is a very nice method of both healing while killing the D machines.
Definitely has a very stable setup for it at this point. Just using Tella to weak, then using Rydia to heal up from the blaze damage, then using Porum to life glitch, and then Kayn to throw something out and hit that searcher again to get it going. This is a pretty good setup, pretty easy grind here. Should be fine. The question is, how long does he go through it? And what does this Octomam give over on LUF's side? If this is exactly the pan, then we know this D machine grind is not going to pay off necessarily on Plumeria's side, unless things just go wrong over on LUF's side, I think.
If it's not the pan, would you chase it, or would you try and clear that last moon spot as you have the pass and just never return?
Knowing that it's Antlion, I would go back and do the Antlion personally. I don't think that Antlion is particularly difficult as much as it is maybe not worth dealing with before something that could have been here. LUF is through. We'll see if this ends up being just academic of a discussion here in a moment, though. And what is the reward? That is a pan. And that is go mode for a fight. That Antlion is not required. He is very much in the driver's seat right now.
Time to grind and go.
Definitely. And while we're in this sort of side-by-side grind fight, LUF on these King Ryus, Plumeria on this D machine, now's a good time to give a quick shout out again to our behind-the-scenes half of the Restream team today. Alchemy on the Restream, rolling this oops, all key items required for objectives and nothing else seed. And Black Ice on the tracking, doing a very good job of keeping up as the seed basically, hit go at about an hour and 10 minutes in. It has been non-stop action since, so I want to make sure to give both of them a shout out, as well as of course, shout out to my co-commentator, Judge Joe. I believe it's your second time on commentary with us, and it's been an absolute joy so far.
Yep. Second time commentating. First one was a group stage, so it's fun going and seeing the difference in between the groups and the brackets as well. This is a pretty low key item count for go mode.
Yeah, this is literally just 10 on LUF's side. Getting that 10th key item of the pan is always a plus, and that is going to get him through, and we'll see how many of these King Ryus he ends up taking. I gotta think he's probably not going to take too many. Well, I guess he's only got 2 Sirens left at this point, and I'm not sure if he has any Hourglasses left.
The only people who you truly care, unless you're grinding all the way to nuke, the only people you truly care about the levels is the Kayn and Porum. So, likely to get through. Well, and hang on, Kayn's annoying, but I wonder if we'll be seeing a pivot in anchors and switching from Sid to Rydia as the cursed anchor.
Definitely. I mean, it's possible. This grind fight is not going great. It's not necessarily going bad either, but it's going a little bit sketchily. Plumeria is through with his D machine now, though, and will be making his way back out of the Giant. The question is, how quickly can Plumeria catch up? We know that pink tail is up here, or where was the pink tail again?
Plague spot, if I remember right.
Right,
behind
we know
the Baron guards.
Yeah, and we know that hook's up here. We know that pan's up here. There is every chance that Plumeria catches up, going to the moon here a little bit of time. Not quite all of it, though, but it looks like he might be landing again.
Oh,
Pink tail was on Ogo, right?
hook was from the White Spear altar.
I knew it was some permutation of everything's on the moon. I just couldn't remember which way around anymore because so much has happened since then that it feels like you had the first half of this seed, which was like the first 70 minutes, and the second half of the seed has been the past 15.
You had pre-plague and post-plague.
Exactly. The two big eras of this particular seed. And LUF is on his way back to the planet, ready to turn in that pan. It's going to be a couple minutes, but he'll be in that Z fight very soon. So with this, we see Plumeria on his way down cave value, going to get this pan first.
That's very good for Plumeria. We'll see if Plumeria then chooses to... If Plumeria then chooses to go and head to the Ogopogo, because routing-wise, it's likely at that point Plumeria would just do Ogopogo-ridden Plague Spot and manage to avoid the Crystal Sword altar.
It's a possibility, but the big question is, you know, how much time does that end up taking right now? And the real scary part is, when Plumeria sees this pan from the Octomam, is he tempted to chase that first? Which, while a okay thing to do, would waste more time because you're going to have an extra set of that to and from the moon cutscenes. Or does he just go down and do those things down at the bottom of the moon? I think that's probably what he's going to do, thinking, you know, I can get what I need out of the moon at this point in time. I can get more levels out of it. I'm still going to need more to get through, but that pan might be tempting.
And could be very tempting, and one problem. So we have the Masamune. I might be tempted, if I've been kind of avoiding it, and try to just chase the pan, chase all the checks it's giving, and hope you find that hook and pink tail on the earth, if possible. Because that way you can just go to the Masamune and walk right to Z. Which would, again, prove problematic with where the key items are.
Definitely LUF going back, I believe. That just needs to turn in the Sheila too. I was like, wait, why is he going back to Fapul? And then I realized that that's because there's an objective here that he needs to turn in to get that crystal, and he's about to have that in hand.
The question is, how nervous is LUF at this moment? Yes, you're in go mode. Yes, you fade a lot of seed. But how worried are you? You took 3 tries for that Ogopogo. It was a pretty slow moon at the start. How worried are you that your opponent is ahead? And does that lead you to doing a riskier Z fight? Or is LUF going to take the time to just get a real safe Z fight started and go?
I think it kind of depends on a lot of different things in LUF's case. I think while you're right that he did take a few wipes at that Ogopogo, he also was incredibly aggressive in going to the right places. And I think he's got to know that, all right, I might have been a little bit slow on that, but I made some very aggressive decisions that turned out to be the right ones. I'm not sure if I'm in LUF's shoes if I feel like I'm behind at all.
I think we're going to Z.
We are. Well, gotta give a little bit of context to this, to those of you who have not seen this before. First of all, welcome. Glad to have you. And secondly, we cannot move Zeromus around. Zeromus is too difficult. Zeromus is too iconic where he is. but we still want to randomize some things about him. So we have over 550 different sprites that can be behind this Saroma's sprite once we throw that crystal, which does lead to an important question. And Judge Joe, if you'd like to give us that question today.
Whose butt are we kicking tonight? Is that it? Did I nail it?
Yep. I think we got it. All right. Let's see if we can get through this fight here. This is not a guaranteed fight at this point. And also, worth noting, over on Plumeria's side, went back after that pan, is going to have that Luca key in hand now, and is going to be chasing almost certainly that Luca key. I feel like if you're going back, you got to commit to the dive, and that might be a very unfortunate thing for Plumeria here.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think this is not at all a guaranteed Saroma's fight over on LUF's side. It's a fairly safe one if we have enough cure pots, which we do not. We have 1 cure, 1 potion that dropped from the 4th wave of that alt gauntlet earlier. There's no way of healing once Porum is down. You're kind of revolving around life potions and either making sure you nerf Big Bangs 100% or just sort of zombieing Porum through this. This could be a bumpy ride. Oh no.
Uh-oh. I worry for my ankles.
Well, it's time to go drop a coin at your favorite arcade. We have DDRMS today here. And also, only Cure 3 on Porum 2, not the best thing to find. We are going to have the nuke land on Rydia here. That will probably knock her out of this fight immediately before she can get any damage out. Even then, I don't believe she's to the levels with nuke anyway, so I'm not sure how much she would be contributing. We're kind of in a situation where it might only be Kayn really dealing damage here.
Yeah, looking at this party, that was one reason if we had any sort of Sid weaponry, you could have potentially gone and zerked him up as a second zerker, but we might be keeping him alive as a chemist if we have enough Cure 3s.
Well, it does look like we're going to go ahead and berserk Sid here, but you can, of course, just wait for that black hole to come out. That'll knock Sid out of berserk. He can throw whatever he needs. I'm not sure about the speed on that. Meanwhile, over on Plumeria's side, finding the Earth Crystal down at the Luca Key, going to have to walk that out. That's going to be another thing that's going to push Plumeria away from going back up to the moon with all those required key items. So over on LUF's side, we're still in this fight. It's looking pretty stable at the moment. Going to just go ahead and sit on Porum's turn with that going on here. Going to, I believe, pop out a slow. So looking to nerf that Big Bang here. We got to play nuke roulette now. Who's going to get hit? If it's the Porum, it's the worst case scenario. It lands on the Kayn. That's probably the best. Everyone should live through this next Big Bang as long as the nerf timing was appropriate.
Yeah. That's another reason to potentially not zerk Sid, is to allow you to, if it hits Porum, resurrect Porum as needed. But this is a nervous fight.
As long as we get these nerfs out, as long as that nuke does not land on exactly Porum and sort of cause a situation where we might have a Big Bang into another Big Bang without healing in between, this should be fine. We are playing really, really aggressively here on LUF's side, and I appreciate the amount of risk that he is taking in this fight right now to just really get that damage out. really pushing quite hard. Gonna go ahead and berserk up both of those again. This is quite the fight.
Yeah. I wonder which characters we're going to be seeing on Zot. I think we're likely to see Palom. Not guaranteed, but likely. And Edge is another character who we haven't seen this seed.
I think we got a 50-50 shot at seeing both of them, as we do see the counter nuke now coming out on LUF's side. That is another slow going off, but I think that we are pushed into the next phase. We can't really necessarily afford the nerf. This is an interesting setup here. What is LUF doing? I believe he's going with another slow, going to go ahead and eat another nuke here to make sure this is nerfed. We'll see who this lands on, because whoever this lands on might go down to the Big Bang. That is the Kayn. I think Kayn will live. No, Kayn will not live. Kayn does not have adamant armor on. My mistake. Kayn takes 2 more damage than he has health, goes down. We're going to see that Big Bang come out now. Porum should be fine. Sid's still alive as well with 300 HP. I think we're okay here.
Heal up with Porum, resurrect, or is Sid about to be unzerked, so there's a chance at stabilization.
Definitely the complicating matter here is that we can't just, use that. And there's a nuke onto Sid as well. That's going to knock Sid down. Porum, the only one alive at this point in time. Here comes the Life 1 spell out onto Kayn. Going to get Kayn back up. I don't believe we have too many curing items. This is really going to rely on Porum getting going here, getting that cure out. And I don't know if he can nerf the next Big Bang that will be coming too.
I'm nervous. Oh, well, we got the cure off.
Got the cure off. Here comes another Big Bang, though. What's going to happen here?
I don't know if we have time with that Star Veil, but I definitely get what we were going for with the Star Veil. Trying to make sure that the counter nuke couldn't hit it, but not quite.
No nerf on the Big Bang. Down goes Porum. Kayn's still alive with about 700 health, but in Berserk right now. Combo Platter might be the worst thing.
No.
That is a very unfortunate wipe for LUF. What is he going to do in reaction? Is he going to go get more XP? Going to raise your ship? Nope, go straight in for another one. The good news is, because Plumeria has taken this sort of side path, this is a chance for him to catch up some time, but LUF has a bit of time to burn. And it looks like he might be going for a few more levels instead, which I think might be the best strategy here in terms of saving time.
Yeah, you can't gain time if you're dead. Not wiping is almost always a massive time save. But finding the cure 3s, so and life potions, and star veils. That does allow for a Sid Chemist.
That might be faster than going for levels at this point. A question was asked in chat of how far back do we think Plumeria is, and I want to give a little bit of extra context to that. We know that Plumeria is very heavily incentivized to go down to the bottom of the moon first, because that Masamune altar is an objective. And because of that, he's likely to do that sort of bottom-up moon play at this point in time. And while he will need to clear bosses to get through there, the only one of those that is not free is that Ogopogo fight. So he's a ways behind, but he will also skip probably half of this moon and just get those 3 fights done, which should catch him up quite a bit of time here.
In addition, when Plumeria runs into Z, with the 10 key items at the moment, is going to have a lot higher level. So we'll be able to have a more comfortable Zeromus fight than what LUF is doing.
Definitely, this is not at all an easy fight on LUF's side, but I think he can manage it. He just needs a little pinch of luck and just a lot of execution, which he was showing off. Unfortunately, the pinch of luck was not there last time. It could be there this time, and we're going to see how the second attempt goes as Plumeria, hot on his heels, going to be heading down this moon. Only needs to get through that White Spear altar and that Masamune altar to be in go mode himself.
And we'll likely do the extra water heg, but it's water heg. That is one of the quickest fights you could have on the moon.
Really only the cutscene time of Anna saying, Edward, hello Edward, fight Edward, and all that stuff is, going to really last. That part where she just pops up, it's like, Edward, I've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty kind of thing. But again, that won't take too much time in the end, and that'll be a big chunk of XP, which will make Plumeria's fight a lot safer.
Yeah. With an adamant armor, with that crystal ring, if you can get that Porum up to about 1600, 1700, you're probably going to survive, but still a little risky.
Definitely, we do see that first nerf coming out on LUF's side. This time it lands on Kayn instead of landing on Rydia, the counter nuke, which is going to keep Kayn alive here. And that is going to add a little bit to this in terms of just getting a little bit of damage. She should live through this first Big Bang. She should be able to reflect a couple of spells. That bit of damage with how far off LUF was last time might be enough to make a difference. Meanwhile, Plumeria down here to this Ogopogo fight, this vanilla Ogopogo fight. I think he should have a lot easier time getting through this than LUF did, obviously taking it a lot later than LUF did. But I don't think this is going to pose a challenge to him.
Yeah. It shouldn't pose too much of a challenge. Get the blinks off, healing up. As long as you have some sort of defensive gear on that, Kayn can survive. Rydia seems to be tanky in the back row.
Yeah, I think we're in good shape on LUF's side this time compared to last time. I don't think it's amazing shape, but it's a bit better. Gonna reflect the virus back for another 2,000 health onto the Zeromus at this point in time. There is the shake. Going to cast this slow to get this nerf off. Should be fine. Rydia might not live through this one, though. Rydia definitely won't live through this one.
Another riskier thing about using slow is there is a minor delay in using slow as opposed to the crystal. Just means your timing needs to be a little more perfect.
Oh, definitely does get that counter nuke out, this time landing on Sid. That is going to knock
go down.
Sid out. That is very unfortunate. Down to just 2 characters on LUF's side. This is where things got a little bit dicey last time. Once he lost that Kayn, should be able to, or rather lost that Sid last time, should be a little bit okay, but needs to work very hard to stabilize. Meanwhile, Plumeria taking a wipe to this Ogopogo fight. By far not guaranteed.
As long as we can go and keep a Star Veil on Porum, if we can just keep Cure 3 Star Veil nerf, we should be able to get through the fight. I don't know if we quite have enough Star Veils, but
it's hard to say. I don't know. I don't think we have enough Star Veils to do that. It's...
Did Porum just tank the nuke completely?
It is possible. She does have an adamant armor on and does have a crystal ring on.
Or did it just tip and no counter nuke?
It might have tipped. It's hard to say. At this point in time, we are seeing, Plumeria getting the blinks up with Tello. One advantage that Plumeria has in this fight that LUF did not have is having a second source of blink. But over on LUF's side, that is another big bang, just barely lifts through on Porum's side. 186 damage big bang is not something you see every day. But still, both characters
if
alive.
Someone you see it on, it is Adamant Porum. Oh. Oh no.
That is bad.
Well,
down goes Porum to a counter nuke at this point in time. Sid back up on the other hand, though, going to toss a Cure 3 onto Sid. This is still possible to stabilize. It's just not an easy situation to stabilize. I'm real interested in seeing what LUF does from here. I think he can get around it, but might have to wait out the next big bang first.
A chemist and a Zerker. This is another method of getting through Zeromus in the age before White Mages.
Sid has enough health to tank full damage big bangs. Kane has enough health to tank full damage big bangs. We have plenty of Cure 3 pots on LUF's side. He doesn't need that Porum in this fight anymore. As long as he just keeps both of them alive, gets that Cure 3 off, he'll be fine. Meanwhile, over on Plumeria's side, that pink tail coming out from that Masamune altar fight just has those true free fights left up there. The Water Hag at Ribbon Room that he'll almost certainly take. If he doesn't take it, even better. And that Baron Guards fight in that White Spear altar before he gets the hook for his go mode. This is still a very close race, and it's down to this Aromas fight on LUF's side. There's a big bang. Both living with only 200 health. Needs to get cures off before the Meteo hits.
Cure that Kane. Cure that Kane. Uh-oh.
Oh, there's the Meteo, and both of them goes down. Another wipe on LUF's side.
No!
Alright, this is still doable from LUF. This is 2 wipes, but we can make it on the third time. Third time's the charm here. Plumeria is hot on his heels at this point. In that Water Hag fight, will only have that Baron Guards fight left before he comes back down. This is still very close, but LUF can't afford another wipe right now.
I have no clue what's going to happen.
This is kind of, to me, been a little bit the story of this seed. LUF has been playing extremely aggressively and extremely well at playing aggressively, but at this point in time, he needs that bit of luck to swing his way. Needs to just have that fight go completely correctly, and each attempt, he's had something go a little bit wrong that he just could not deal with because of this setup. As long as he's able to get through this time, he should be fine. I think he's definitely shown the skill to get through this fight, just needs that luck to come through for him now.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, over on the other side, PlumeriaKnight has gotten through that Water Hag fight at the Ribbon Room. This is the Baron Guards fight that gives the hook. This is the 2 turn-ins and 2 objectives away from full go mode for PlumeriaKnight. This is everything to play for here.
And yes, Plumeria has more levels, but it's still going to be a slow Z fight because we only have Kane Zerking. That unless we got to nuke, which we might have, it's going to be a slower fight. Although it looks like Rydia might be at nuke.
We'll see in a moment when he goes to exit out. Is it 52 or 54 for Rydia and nuke?
It's 50.
Then Rydia has nuke.
So we're probably going to see a different form of Z with reflex strats.
This is a fascinating situation on Plumeria's side. Plumeria might even have the faster Z fight, but still needs to turn in both of those tails, which is, while fairly fast, not completely fast. I'm not sure if Plumeria's even raised the hovercraft yet, which would add even more time on there. Yeah. Although I think he did earlier in the seed. It was so long ago, it's hard to remember. Meanwhile, back on LUF's side, we do have that Cure 3 going out on Rydia here. Rydia's going to stay alive for a bit longer. Porum looking a little bit on the low side, but definitely can tank those big bangs with this adamant armor. He's in good shape at the start of this, just needs to get extra damage out right now.
Yeah, everyone's still alive. It's looking solid so far for LUF. But looking at Plumeria's party, this is almost certainly LUF's last chance to make it through. Because,
definitely,
while not completely free with the reflex strats, it is definitely a lot safer than the lower level Zerker strategy.
Definitely. I mean, this is a very, very tight race either way at this point. Here comes another big bang over on LUF's side. Porum only at 600 HP going into it.
Yes.
Let me tell you, every time I see those flashes from big bangs, I have to hold my breath waiting for that to resolve, see those damage numbers.
Yeah, I thought Porum would survive, but you just never know.
I mean, I think I've seen everything that you can see in a Z fight here. You know, the secondary stress of watching this is slowly turning my hair gray throughout this particular fight. I'll look like Tella by the end of it. So we'll be set through here. This is looking pretty safe now. We've got a lot going for us. We've got another Star Veil going up on Rydia. She's still throwing out those tier 3 elemental spells. But Plumeria on his way into the fight now.
Possum brings up a mention on Plumeria's formation. With Reflect, you typically have Star Veil in the slot 2 right after the Crystal Thrower. Then you'll have a White Caster, and then your Nuker. However, Plumeria has a different formation than that, so it's possible we're going to see a different strategy with Berserking Cane with the Porum, because Plumeria doesn't have any Bacchus, having not checked the route shop.
Definitely. He'll have a little bit of a harder time really hitting the gas in terms of getting that damage out, but once he gets going, should be pretty stable compared to LUF, who remains, sort of on the knife edge, so to speak. Really, again, I cannot understate how aggressive the play was going for this fight at these levels here, and it's looking a lot smoother this time through, I gotta say. There goes another Cure 3. We're in good shape right now on health. We should be able to nerf that next big bang. This is really going well.
Okay. Cure 3. Cane swings. Low is cast. Reflecting Lit 3. Cane swings. Slow comes out. This should be a nerf.
And the nuke lands on Porum again, knocking Porum over. This should be fine if we just switch back to Chemist here, and at very least Rydia will still be alive too to throw a life potion. Actually, this might even be easier to recover than it was last time. I think LUF is in good shape now, even though that knocked out Forum before the Big Bang.
But here we have Plumeria with nukes coming out, doing 8,000 a charge, and it's going to be close.
It definitely is. You know, this is really the sort of race of the tortoise and the hare in a way. You know, Plumeria took a much longer path through things, a much safer path. LUF went for that really aggressive moon dive early on, and even their Z fights are reflecting this. Plumeria might have a little bit more damage coming out and is sort of reaping the rewards of spending all of that time getting through all those things, doing that D-machine grind like that. But if LUF can pull this off, it will have pulled him through and forced this match to a game 3. Kane taking the counter nuke. We've got another well, I believe that was a regular nuke, actually. We've got a Bacchus Wine back on, and I think we're much better off on LUF's side. Plumeria doing a lot of damage, though.
Keeping that Rydia alive has very much stabilized this fight, along with keeping Sid as a chemist as opposed to Minor Zerker.
Definitely. Here comes another Ice 3 to get reflected back onto Z. There's another 4,000 damage. We've got to be getting close to rocks at this point in time. But over on Plumeria's side, a nuke for quad 9s, and that is, you know, a lot more damage than that. Here comes a white as well. Might be getting into the point where...
on both sides.
There's rocks on LUF's side. We've got this. As long as Porum keeps dodging, as long as Kane keeps dodging, I think we're set. Rydia down to 300 health. There goes the crystal for the nerf over on Sid's side. No. It's not going to happen, but it knocks over Porum. Porum gonna just barely live with just about 30 health at this point in time. Rydia desperately curing up the virus. Here's a cure 3 on this point in time. That will do a little bit of healing back to Z, but it won't matter in the end. Here's the virus being reflected. I think LUF has got this. Shouldn't be too much longer here.
And Plumeria takes a massive big bang, but is getting that Porum back up.
And that's it. 159.46. LUF is through that Z fight at this point in time. I do want to say there was a little bit of a mismatch on the timer as they're running from the official race spot time, just due to some slight delay on getting the timer started at the start of the race. Our apologies for that. But that is the official time here. We'll see how close behind Plumeria was here as we're going to turn our focus over fully to him. There's rocks on his side.
Just need to get this nuke out, I think. Maybe the white. I don't see any rocks.
Rocks are just a myth at times here. Nuke doesn't do it. This white should do it. Plumeria not far behind at all, but is going to take the loss today, and that is going to bring this match to 1-1. PlumeriaKnight through the Zeromus fight with a official time of 2 hours and 24 seconds flat. I believe we're going to get both of them in for a joint interview here. So we'll get them in here in just a moment, and we'll see their thoughts on this.
38 seconds. Wow.
Hello.
And with that, we are joined by LUF and PlumeriaKnight. First of all, GG's, both of you on a very well-run race today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, LUF, I want to start out with your play to go to the moon early on, which was a very sort of aggressive and risky play that you took. What led you to go down into the moon at that point?
Well, how can I say this? I perfectly knew that Plumeria is a very good player. I knew I had to be aggressive. I knew I had to take very big risks. I was quite lucky there because those risks paid out. quite a lot. Finding the guards, finding what was the other free fight again? Water Ag really let me get some easy XP, so I didn't have to use the sirens immediately. But yeah, simply I knew I had to be very aggressive. I knew I had to do whatever I can to get Blink as quick as possible and do whatever that was necessary to get through the moon as quick as possible to get my party start kicking.
Right. And on the flip side of that, Plumeria, I know that you sort of stayed down on the Earth for a lot longer. What led you to just sort of stay down there and keep checking through those more on the main planet checks for you?
Well, my party was not very good. Didn't have levels. And I needed something to really get going. And Tello was that thing. So that let me do the D machine grind. And then since I had the pass, I figured, well, let's full clear the moon. Maybe we can end at Massa and swag walk from there. Got the pan first though, so then that became my thinking was there's probably at least one of my needed items behind this pan. And it is an objective, so let's go chase that. And that unfortunately ended up not working out. But overall, that was pretty much my strategy. Just kind of needed to get more power because I didn't think the moon would be as free as it was. That Ogo was definitely the worst part of it.
That Ogo really gave me a hard time. I went there twice before actually getting it together correctly. So yeah, I get you on that.
Speaking of difficulties for both of you, what do you think the hardest part of the seed was for you guys?
Want to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, obviously, I think that my very aggressive play end up with me being very low level. I wasn't sure at that moment if Plumeria actually did the same thing. I knew he's a very good player. I knew he's more experience in these very low-level Z fights. So I wasn't sure if I was gonna do more levels, cracking some eggs, killing some gold dragons. I was, oh man, what do I do? It was the biggest decision I had to do. And if I knew that it actually would have went for the overworld and the underground, that would have lent me, obviously, it's very easy to say in insight, but it will have let me do more levels, have very much easier Z fight. You saw me actually wipe twice on this. The first time was actually a very bad mistake on my part. I use a calculator in the Z fight to make sure when is the reset, when is Meteo, when is everything, and I actually missed one input at a reset to nuke earlier than I thought, and that led me to pretty much a very hard fight. Obviously, I also didn't went with any potions the first time, so it didn't give me a lot of opportunities to cover up if any mishap happened. And obviously those mishaps happen. So yeah, obviously the Z fight was pretty much the hardest stuff I had to do. I could have somewhat say Handland because I saw that fight and was, no, I don't want to touch this, at least not now, and that actually paid.
Well, for me, I'd say it was my routing. I don't know, did I miss Sirens somewhere? Am I hearing that right?
Sirens were in Iblan.
Oh, okay. Hook was my go mode, so I never checked that. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So basically my routing, following the pan, get nothing. Basically just a big waste of time. I'm looking at my tracker here. I've got Crystal and Murasame left. So at that point, you're always just hoping that your opponent basically did the same thing that you did, and you still have a chance. Looks like it was a pretty fun watch, though, because we did different things in the end. And I think I would have been very lucky to get the win with how things went for me. So well deserved to LUF. GG for sure.
Thanks again. I'm pretty sure you did some very incredible stuff again. You totally obliterated me on the first fight, and I still think you're the better player. But I'm gonna give pretty much my all out Sunday, and I'm sure we're gonna have a very, very good match there.
Yeah, it'll be good.
So, hearing Sunday there, does that mean that's when your third match is going to be? Because I definitely want to watch it after watching today's match.
I believe it is Sunday, 21:30.
Yes. 9:30 p.m. Eastern.
Indeed.
Absolutely. Will be great to see. With that, did you two have any final thoughts for us today, starting with LUF?
Well, first of all, since this is actually the first time I actually managed to get the round of 32, actually went out and said to some of my friends out there, hey, I'm actually on the big stage and I'm restream. Come say hi. So, just some quick words in French. Merci tout le monde d'être venu écouter le match. J'espère que vous avez apprécié. Bonne journée à tous et merci du support. So I pretty much only said thanks for the support and thanks for coming see this match. It's very appreciated. And obviously, thank you everyone on the Restream team. You all do an amazing job. What you do is just incredible. It's fun every tournament.
Yeah, well, thanks to the Restream team, Alchemy for the Restream. Looks like we have Black Ice on tracking, Nth and Judge Joe on thanks for your hard work and giving us the opportunity to show off our talents and our skills. It's always fun.
Thank you to both of you for putting on a great show. It was an incredible watch and I think you'll enjoy watching how the race went for the two of you.
I really can't wait to see all of this, and I'm pretty sure I will have a meltdown when I see my two wipes and see Plumeria catch up. This is gonna be heartbreaking. I really hope I won't do any more mistakes like that as well.
Maybe I'll get the win on the rewatch. We'll see, right?
Who knows?
I mean, anything's possible. Again, thank you to both of you for a wonderful race and a wonderful interview, and we look forward to seeing your next race again on Sunday night.
All right,
thank you. See y'all.
Take care, everybody.
GG.
And with that, I want to give you all watching still a quick rundown of the remaining matches that we have today. On the Free Enterprise side, we have at 7 p.m. Eastern, very, very soon, the Rybon versus Roger McBain match over on the Free Enterprise channel. At 9 p.m., we have Invinius versus Rex Banner on Free Enterprise 2. And if you're interested in seeing a different randomizer instead, you're interested in staying over here on our partner channel here on RPG Limit Break, there is a Final Fantasy 1 randomizer race at 8 p.m. over here as well. So if you're interested, make sure you tune in for that. All 3 of those races are very, very exciting and will be very fun to watch. And with that, I believe that is going to be it for us today. I want to give a thanks to Alchemy behind the scenes on the restream, Black Ice on the tracking, and a thank you to Judge Joe on the commentary today. It was great working with you.
Yeah, it was lots of fun. Glad to commentate with you. Hope to do it again at some point.
Definitely. I look forward to the next time as well. We are going to be sending you over to Wef Jebster as our raid today. And we will catch you all later. Remember, no spoilers for this or any other race. This is definitely one that people are going to want to watch back later. So make sure that you're not giving anything away on that. And we hope to see you all again next time. Thank you very much for watching.